Hello and a warm welcome to another exciting episode of our podcast series, Crafting Your Writing Career, Paths and Possibilities, brought to you by the Learner Meeting. I am Mahua, your host, and today we are privileged to have with us Sriparna Saha, Associate Director, Technical Writing at Razorpay. Sriparna has over 19 years of experience in technical writing, where she has worked with organizations such as Cognizant, Accenture, Unisys, Symphony, and a few other leading IT companies. She has worked in many domains: banking and finance, storage, transport, IT, infrastructure, and others. And she has been in leadership roles for around 10 years. She has and continues to devise content strategies to support all the product lines and business units of the organization across geographies. I'm sure by now you have already guessed that today we are exploring the field of technical writing with Sriparna. We will try to understand what it takes to begin one's career as a technical writer and grow in this path. We will also delve a bit into few personal choices or decisions that Sriparna made in her life journey that shaped her as a person and who she is today. This episode will be presented in two parts. Today, we will listen to the first part of the episode. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Sriparna Saha. So, Sriparna, I would like to start by saying thank you so much for giving us this time. I'm hoping this conversation that we're going to have today is going to help so many people who want to explore and understand the field of technical writing and otherwise want to come into technical writing.
Okay. Absolutely.
So with that context, I wanted to understand from you, can you give us maybe a brief overview of what is technical writing all about? What's the scope of work that technical writers undertake in their job role?
Sure. So technical writing is any piece of information which can be in the form of a document or in the form of a video, let's say, which provides the factual information of a product. It is not a jazzy thing. Tech writing is all about come to the point about the product, how to use it, where are the places the product will not be useful. So very straightforward. And like I said, it talks all that a product offers and how to use that product basically. And we have seen the implementation of tech writing in almost all the areas, I would say. The deliverables can be things like help file, an installation manual, or a user guide, an admin guide, or any FAQ that you come across, right? So basically anything that comes with a product, which tells you how to use the product, what is the product all about, is a manifestation of technical writing, as I would say. Technical writing has pretty much existed almost like, let's say, 30 years back, just that it was not really called a technical writing and it was not as well understood and defined those days. If you remember, even when we used to buy refrigerators, DVD player, let's say, it used to come with some small booklets, which used to tell you how to use that product, how to operate it. Yeah, so that's a manifestation of technical writing. So yeah, that's pretty much technical writing in a nutshell. And talking about the scope, I think the scope is becoming wider and wider as we are moving forward. The field has matured a lot, especially in India. When I started, people hardly knew about tech writing. Talking about the horizon that we currently have, any form of documents, videos, GIFs, images, diagrams, illustrations that explains how a product works is technical writing. And the horizon is increasing. Now we are also getting into UX writing, content writing, all is slightly different. But I've seen there is always an overlap of these roles, instructional manuals or, instructional designers rather. Even we do that bit of work also. So yes, there is overlap, but yes, the horizon is increasing, like I'm saying.
Thank you, Sriparna, to give us this overview of technical writing. I know everybody can easily associate technical writing, even the word kind of suggests probably something to do with IT, right?
Right.
But is it only restricted to IT or are there other fields also where technical writing is used?
Not completely into IT. Like I said, that tech writing is there in every domain. If you look at medicine, let's say a tonic, you must have received a leaflet which comes with the small box, right? That's nothing but technical writing in the field of medicine, where it talks about what all that tonic contains, where all the tonic can be useful, what is the age group, right? What are the doses? So again, the facts. So it's there in medicine, it's there in healthcare, it's there in IT for sure, it's there in transportation, it's there in, you name it. I think in every other industry, I can't even think of one particular industry which is not touched by technical writing. Finance, everywhere you buy credit cards, you get one big more fat booklet which talks about all the charges, where all you can swipe the card, what will be the transaction limits, and everything else about that particular card, right? That's also a manifestation of technical writing. So every domain, aerospace, every domain is touched by tech writing, not just IT.
Okay, great. So is it only English language that is used for creating these documents that we are referring to, product manuals, instruction manuals? Or do you also consider people from different languages who can come into this field?
So since English is the language which is internationally accepted language, of course, that's the one which we definitely need. But having said that, there are many products, there are different countries where the local language also gets a lot of precedence, a lot of importance, right? For example, if you're selling your product in Japan, if you're selling your product in China, you have to come up with a local version of whatever manual you're writing. So in those cases, we definitely get either the local lights onboarded so that they can also contribute in this entire process. Basically, they help with the translation. And there is also a lot of translation tools that exist today, which can actually help in doing these translations. But of course, as you can easily understand that your machine translation is always not as good. So usually what the organizations do to cut down the cost, they do the initial translation using a software where the machine translation happens, and then they again bring in a localite who has a good hold on the local language to go through the content, just to bring in that natural flow of the language. But yes, English is the primary language, but like I said, depends upon who are the audience you're catering to, and based on that, you might require translation services.
So we create the content in English and then take help of translators to convert that. But they don't really need to know technical writing as such. It's mostly to do with language expertise.
Yes, mostly to do with language expertise, but it's always an icing on the cake if they have some understanding of the tech writing, because that ensures that they are taking care of all the basic concepts of tech writing. But like you said, that most often the translation happens, it's mostly the final polishing that is done by the translator.
So, and now if we look at pay scale, anybody would want to know what am I going to earn, right, if I join this particular field. So can you give us an idea about what could be the pay scale range there?
Well, it definitely depends upon the organization where the candidate is going in. But having said that, the organizations pay really well these days, especially the tech writers. So you can expect somebody joining tech writing a salary of, let's say, 6 to 8 lakhs per annum to, if you are looking at directors and senior directors, somewhere between 60 to 80 lakhs or so.
That's quite a handsome amount for many people.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. How did your journey begin into technical writing? Did you always want to get into this, or what was it like?
Well, when I joined technical writing, I don't think anybody would say, I want to be a tech writer. Technical writing was not as prominent, like I said. And I got into technical writing mostly by chance. I started my career as a technical support executive, where I was talking to the customers, solving their issues. And I was supporting an ISP, a UK-based ISP, basically an internet service provider, and helping them connecting to internet. So all of that was fine initial 1 year, but after a certain point in time, I felt that things are becoming redundant and I'm not really enjoying what I was doing. So that is when I got this opportunity of working as a process documentation executive. And I just realized that probably this is something I can give it a shot, because writing is something which I liked doing. So I got into that and I started liking it. I started reading about technical writing as a career, and tech writing was not very prominent. So I'm talking about 2003-04 in India. It was still not that prominent. But when I started reading about tech writing on the internet, I found that it is quite popular, especially in countries like US and UK. And I could see that there were a lot of jobs which were getting opened up even in India. Basically, a lot of jobs were moving to India. So I thought that why not let me start reading or understanding more about this, and let me start exploring this as a career. And then one job after another, and things worked out for me. And like I said, I felt that this is something which I really loved doing it, because, working on different products, understanding the nitty-gritties of it, and then coming up with a nice documentation. It was something which I was quite satisfied doing, and things went on one after another, organizations after organizations. Then I got into a leadership role, which was also quite satisfying. So it was at Cognizant, where I was leading the entire location, Mumbai and Pune, and I was responsible for the entire tech writing piece. It was very, very interesting work. And then Symphony happened, where I got the opportunity to work as a functional head, taking care of the entire tech writing department. It was a small setup compared to Cognizant, but having said that, the role was very attractive, and I could not say no to that. I felt this is one place where I can build the group and build the team and bring in the processes, which I always felt that why the processes are not like this. We can do things so much better with better tools, better processes, and better mechanisms in place. So I thought this is an opportunity. And I did pretty well around 7.5 years in Symphony, and now at Razorpay again as a functional head. So I feel I got a very good career path. I got the right opportunities at the right time, and probably a few decisions I took right in my entire journey. And I feel quite empowered at what I am doing today. Razorpay is quite a popular brand today, where I'm, heading their entire tech writing. And when I started, we were just 3 writers. From there, we have around 12 writers in the team, and the team is doing great. The tech writing function as a whole is doing great. So my overall journey has been really wonderful, I would say. And I've learned so many things. And when I go and talk in certain conferences and all, I feel that I have something which I can probably share with my team, with my people, with the tech writing community, and let them know that this is an awesome job. And if you really want to grow, there's a lot of scope. You have to just look for the right scope and make sure you go towards that. Things will not come to you on a platter. You have to work hard, but then there is a lot of scope, is what I can say.
That's wonderful. So you are tech savvy who wants to explore new products, and writing has been your passion. So you have been able to combine your passions into what you are doing right now.
Sure. Yes.
If I talk about your childhood, what were your dreams when you were growing up?
So, So I wanted to be a doctor. I think that was the time when everybody wanted either to become a doctor or an engineer. I think those were the only 2 options available for us. And in fact, I wrote the exams also. Unfortunately, I didn't get through. And computers was the in thing those days. And my dad himself being an engineer, he thought that probably technology is something which I should explore. So as a child, I was a very obedient child. I remember my mom saying that I never had any troubles with you. You just grew up yourself. I loved books is what I can remember. And again, writing was something which I always felt that was my thing. Whenever I was like a little upset or felt very strongly about a particular topic or something that has happened in my life, I used to go and narrate the whole story or express my emotions over there. So, that's how I was. And from the beginning, I was very ambitious. I can definitely say that I wanted to do something in my life. I didn't want to be, especially being a woman, being a girl child, just getting married and having a family. Of course, that's also important. But having said that, I also wanted to have my own identity is what I can say right from the day one. When I started feeling things and realizing things, I always wanted to have things of my own, have control of my life. So that's how I have been always.
See, when I've spoken to others, for example, people from learning field who are into L&D and instructional design, they kind of relate their purpose in life with what they're doing for earning a living. Some of them want to be able to help educate people, okay? And while they are not doing it directly, some of them are. So that's how they are combining their passion, purpose with whatever they are doing to earn a living. So do you think somewhere down the line you also have that kind of an alignment in your job?
Well, I feel that technical writing or writing documentation or help is such a powerful tool. It helps the users self-serve. Imagine you are working on your mobile and you're stuck, you're trying to do some settings and you're not able to do that. Now, just imagine you have to call custom support and you have to stand in the queue, wait for somebody to respond to your query and all of that, right? And maybe you're not happy with the response call once again, give a very tiring journey. Now, versus just imagine you have a very easily available FAQ, which you can read it and you can do things yourself. So one is you are solving your problem then and there. You're saving a lot of your time, right? So it's about helping your users in a great way, in self-serving. Second is you're helping the organizations in saving costs. So I feel there are two ways of making money. Either you save cost or you make more money, or you have multiple channels of income, right? So when I talk to my bosses, what is the value I am bringing in with my tech writing function? I say that I'm helping you in saving cost, right? And because with my FAQs, the users are not coming to the support teams anymore, which means that the support teams can work on more critical aspects, critical tasks. They really don't need to solve the basic issues of, how to reset your password. So I'm saving the cost for the organization. I'm helping the users and self-serve. The entire user experience is changing with that, right? These days, most of our documents are on the website. It is also a great acquisition channel. Just imagine somebody is trying to figure out what is a payment gateway. And there are so many people like Paytm, PayU, Razorpay, Cashfree. So they can easily go and check the documentation and see their fitment, which is the right one for them, right? So it can be also a great acquisition channel if it is done in the right way. So I feel, talking about purpose, I feel empowered that I can empower my users. I feel that I'm not only saving cost for my organization, also I can help in making more money for them.
Basically, your purpose is to help everybody in whichever way you can, and you have found technical writing as a great way to do so.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Great to know that. What have been your key learnings in your career journey?
Key learnings would be never stop learning, no matter what role, which position, how many years of experience you have, which organization you work for. Especially with technology moving so fast, you have to make sure you are keeping yourselves updated. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult. There are a lot of discussions going on. ChatGPT, I'm not going there. But having said that, yes, AI is bothering all of us, right? But I tell my writers, I tell people whom I connect with that you really don't need to be worried about. If you are making sure that you're keeping yourself updated, go and use ChatGPT, see how can make use of it to make yourself more efficient. Going and explore new tools. Just don't see a news coming in that a new tool is launched. Go and check it out. Every tool today is available with a free version. It's 10 days, 15 days, whatever. You can always go and give it a try. So my key learning is that it's very important that you keep yourself updated. Otherwise, you will become history very soon. So that's something which I even do. It's always good to acquire more skills. Again, I also tell my writers that don't just think about that I have to only do writing. I've seen people moving from tech writing into product management, and they're doing absolutely wonderful there. They're doing great. They're extremely successful. I've seen people moving from tech writing into project management, and again, they're doing great. So see, the kind of skill sets that we acquire in the journey can be used in many areas. It's all about how you make good use of them. So my key learning is keep learning.
That's an absolutely wonderful thing, and that kind of aligns with the brand I'm trying to work with. So keep learning. Yeah, that's great. Anything else that you want to highlight?
The second thing that probably I can talk about is, being organized. I know it's a very common thing, and you may be wondering why is she even talking about it? Is that not very obvious? But most often the obvious things we don't do. And being organized is such a great skill. I tell people I work with that if you're organized, you are organized not only at work, you're also organized at home. You will get ample time to do so many things. So many things. So I recently completed my MBA. This was my second MBA, and I did that in the last 2 years during the COVID times. So I know people were like watching videos, making all kind of small short videos and all of that. I was sitting and giving assignments. I was sitting and reading my book. So people were like, "Are you crazy? You are a mother of a 5-year-old child. Don't you have enough on your plate? Why do you want to do this?" But I felt that with that, I have acquired a skill. I made good use of those 2 years. I've acquired a degree. I've acquired additional skills. And I now know the modern technologies. I know what is the in thing. I know about AI. I know about blockchain. I know what is IoT. People must have just heard about these terms, but I know what they are, right? So I have been able to do this because of being organized. And it works such a great deal, be it at work, be it at office. I am never late for my meetings. I'm the first one to join the Zoom meeting. I am never late to work. I make sure that I have tick mark all my to-do for my day. Whatever to-do I have for the day, I make sure I'm completing everything. So it's not that I have a superpower, just that if you are organized, you will get to do so many things. And not just that, the Saturdays and Sundays, I make sure, I'm doing some kind of craft, some kind of drawing, painting. So recently my in-laws visited my house and they saw some good 20 paintings in my house. And I'm not a great painter. I just learned it on YouTube. And then they're like, where do you get time? How are you doing all of this? Like, no, I don't have 10 hands, just that I am organized. And it's such a great skill, which this is something which I remember my dad, he's an ex-Air Force. He comes from a very disciplined life. My dad used to say that you have to be organized. If you do this, you will do so many things in your life. Just that I took that very seriously and I incorporated it in my life. I just cannot thank him enough. Thank you, Dad, for giving me this value that it is so much important. And with this skill, you can manage your time. I see people talking about work-life balance. Nahi hai. I'm like, it's all about how you're managing. It's all in your hands. Power is in your hands. It's all about how you use it. Why are we wasting so much time on WhatsApp, on messages? I see people talking, wasting time. I've seen people come to work morning 9 and till 9, they are sitting in the office. I'm like, why do you have to do that? Just that because they're idling every time. I make sure I go to office at 9. I leave office by 6. Once I'm back to home, I don't open my laptop. So that's the way, I have planned out my day that 9 to 6 is for office. I will not take any personal call until absolutely necessary. After 6, I will call up my mother or whatever conversations, friends and all of that. So I think this is such a great thing we all should include in our life. It will make our life so much easier.
That's a great thing to say, Sriparna, because I know there are so many people who struggle with managing home and office work. And so I see that by organized, you basically mean that be very, very focused, right? When you are doing your work in office, be focused there. And when you are outside of office, you're outside of office.
Absolutely.
Then nothing to do with the office. But do you think that is possible in all the organizations? Because it kind of depends on the organization.
So it again depends, what kind of image you have created about yourself in the organization, right? Mm-hmm. Like I said, people know I am available 9 to 6, and it's not that somebody calls me at 7:30, I will not pick up the call. And see, especially in the job that we do, right? We are technical writers. I tell this even to my team members that 9 to 6 is your work. You don't have to do things after 6, but just make sure 9 to 6 is a solid time you're giving to the organization. So coming back to my thing of how do I make sure I'm not going outside my office hours, I will evaluate. I will take up the call. I will evaluate if does it really need to be sorted right then and there. We tend to, abhi karna hai. It's not that important. I say I'm not sitting at the border that if I don't shoot the enemy will get into the country. And of course, I'm not in that kind of a role, right? Something like that, understood. But I think especially in technical writing, it's all about how you are doing your job. And like I said, I have never ever missed a deadline. I have never ever missed anything. So recently, 2 days back, a comment. So we use Slack, right? And there was a comment from our co-founder on one of the documents. Of course, there was some error that he found. And the moment the co-founder, wrote that note, I started getting calls. Although I have Slack on my mobile, I don't check that after office hours. So then I started getting calls. I said, Sriparna, why are you not responding? I mean, what is there? Okay. Then I opened up the laptop. Of course, it was a co-founder. I realized that it has to be at least looked at. I looked at it. I realized, okay, something has gone wrong, but it is not something major that it has to be fixed right there. It was a small design issue. Of course, it wasn't looking nice. So I just wrote a note that, okay, I'm evaluating. I'll get back to you tomorrow morning, first thing. Morning, I get up. I logged in slightly early because I wanted to make sure that I give a good response to the co-founder, right? I gave a response that, okay, this is how we're handling it. He gave a thumbs up. He was good with that. And by EOD, it was all sorted. So that's what it's all about, you evaluating things and you make sure how you are responding. Everyone knows in my office, 9 to 6 is Sriparna's time. After that, she's not to be seen. So it's the image you create. And at the same time, nobody can complain. Like I said, I'm always on time and because I'm organized, right? So it's all about how you weave these things together. That's how you take control of your life, I would say.
So nice to know, Sriparna. I'm hoping this particular talk specifically about being organized, being focused is helpful to people. So one of the learning points that you mentioned is continue to learn, never stop, right? And you have to be updated about whatever is new in the industry. And then also being organized. These are the two key learnings. Are there any other things that you want to highlight?
I would also say that enjoy what you're doing. If you are not enjoying what you're doing, either the organization is not right or the job you're doing is not right. And I'm sure everyone understands what is not right and make sure that we fix that. I've seen people cribbing about things, calling up, oh, my boss is like this, oh, my job sucks. I'm like, if you're not enjoying your work, why are you doing that? I very strongly feel, and this is, again, the mantra of my life. If I do anything, I give my 100%. I make sure I give out the best. Okay. Otherwise, I don't do it. For example, I'm terrible at making chapatis. I don't even attempt because I know either the chapatis are not, and like I said, I want them round. And I know I cannot roll around chapatis. I don't even attempt that. I have given it a shot a couple of times. It didn't work. I realize it's not my cup of tea. But I make great biryani. And I make sure I put in the right flavors. I will keep watching different YouTube. Kuch alag karte hain. How do I make it even tastier? So that's it. I think it's very important that you enjoy what you do. Then only you can give out your best. Otherwise, it's going to be extremely difficult. You're just playing a role of something which you are not. And it doesn't give out best results.
Yeah, it's important to know what you like or do not like. Now, if we think about some of the challenges that one may experience in this field of technical writing.
Sure. So I won't really call these challenges. I would say that's the nature of job. But yes, for beginners, it may be a bit overwhelming. For example, as tech writers, you have to do a lot of multitasking, right? In fact, in many organizations, I've seen that there's just one tech writing taking care of all the documentation work. So work is coming from this side, that side, and you're like totally overwhelmed. You don't know what to do and how to prioritize. So multitasking is extremely important. Prioritization is extremely important, which obviously comes as you start doing more of this, which can be a bit challenging. You have to work with ambiguity. At times people will come and tell you, okay, look at this product, start writing. It doesn't work that way. They just feel that we are great at writing. Of course, we're great at writing, but we need the background. We need something to start with. We have to get some basic information, some kind of concept note, some kind of PRD. I've seen people are reluctant to give you knowledge transfer. You have to chase people. You have to be great at that. I think this is something I've become really a master of chasing people. We are doing our job and we need inputs, and we have to make sure that we keep on, talking to people and get the information, escalate. There are times, again, tech writers in certain organizations don't get as much prominence. And we are like sitting at the corner trying to do things and try to make sure our documents are live and nobody's there to help us or support us. So go and talk to the leaders, go and talk to escalate things if things are not working out. These are definitely going to be challenges which I have myself faced in the beginning. But like I said, as I grew in the career, as I saw others, how the senior writers were doing, how the lead writers were doing, at times I spoke to the managers that, this person is not reviewing my document, this person is not approving my document, the deadline is tomorrow. How do I get hold of that? How do I make sure that all of that is done? So it may be, like I said, it's slightly overwhelming and challenging, but you have to find your way out and you have to do that. Nobody will do that. You have to take that first step. And I think it's always good if you can get the buy-in from the leaders, right, of the organization. It makes your job slightly easier. Yeah, and make connections, make good rapport. Again, works great. So there was one product manager, he was terrible. Sorry to say that, meaning he was very rude and all of that. But then somehow one of the days I was having lunch with him and I was able to strike a conversation with him. And then we found some common things, like my husband is from Bihar, he was also from Bihar, so we started connecting that way, and then he was so nice and sweet. So it's so important that you start building the connections with people. It really helps in getting your reviews and approvals on time.
So what I'm hearing here is basically know how to build rapport, know how to chase, when to escalate, and how to escalate. How will be very important here, right? How you are highlighting
Yes.
Whatever you want to get out of that escalation that you are writing, right? Without blaming people. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So any opportunity you get to talk about that you're not getting things what you want, I think that's the time when you should go and escalate. It can be a meeting, it can be a simple chai coffee break. If you feel that, you are in a conversation with people and you can talk about it, you can go subtle. If things are not working that way, you can go all out and say that, look, I need this, I'm not getting it, and I want it.
That's very important, right? When the deadlines are important, you have to be able to get the required inputs that you're looking for. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So now, if we think about, let's say, your personal life, can I speak about that first before I even jump there?
Oh, yes. I mean, let's see how much we can talk.
Okay. Sriparna, generally, specifically women, when I speak about women, there are a lot of responsibility that gets added into their plate when they get married. Okay. And as the family grows, again, there are more responsibilities. So, how do you deal with that? You have gone through that, right? When you started your career, you were not married. Life was very different,
Right.
right? You
Yes.
didn't have to do a lot of things, and it's mostly focused on the work, right?
Right.
But when you get married, there are other things you have to take care of. So how do you balance it out? And especially when with a growing family, how do you continue to do that?
Well, I think things were not very different after I got married because I and my husband, we were living in Bangalore. So it was just two of us. And I knew my husband before we got married. So, and it was very clear that I'm going to continue work. I don't even remember having a conversation around that should I continue with my career? Because it was so obvious that I will continue with my career. Because I think even my husband knew from the day one that I'm very career oriented, but he also believed that I will make sure that I don't compromise on things at the personal end. And I will be able to balance the thing. So I think he was somewhere convinced, and we never had that conversation. So it was a very smooth journey after I got married. And my in-laws were also, in fact, they were very happy about the fact that I was working. And my in-laws, they live in Barrackpur, which is a slightly remote area, not really remote, a bit of not that urban area, right? So they're very proud about the fact that their daughter-in-law is working in a big organization in a good responsible position. And even then, when I was just a tech writer, they were pretty happy about that. So I got all the support, as I would say. And my parents were always there. They always wanted their girl to grow up and do things of her own. And my dad was especially extremely proud. He's still very proud of whatever I do. And I got a lot of encouragement. So I would rather say I was very lucky that way. But yes, when my son came into the picture, so that is when things became slightly different, because I was staying in Bangalore, so I was not having a good support mechanism to take care of my child. And he was very small, and there were some very subtle messages being given out to me that probably it is time you take a short break. Now we'll see later. So these were coming from all different sides, including my parents, I would say. Everybody were kind of saying, your child is so small. What will you do? He's just 6 months, 7 months. How will you take care of all of that? In fact, I won't say I was never convinced that I should quit or I should take a break. For some reason, I always felt that I can take care of both the sides and give my best to both the sides and not compromise on anything. I loved my job. And for me, my job is not just, a source of income. It is also my identity. I've seen women being called Mrs. This, daughter of this, I wanted to have my own identity. Of course, those are my identities as well. But having said that, I wanted to be called as Sriparna Saha, and she is this and this. And I was so much in love with that identity that I was just not ready to let it go. So I was still, because things were coming in from all sides, right? So I still started talking to a couple of people, and I realized that taking a break and joining back work is not that easy. I've seen many people who decided to take a break for a year, then it became 2 years, then it became 5 years. Then they just could never come back to the main workforce. And again, the time I'm talking about is the pre-COVID time. So that time, this work from home option was also not that popular, or not that accepted, especially in India, right? So all of these were happening. Then I realized, no, I'm not going to take a break. I'm not going to compromise here. Then I started looking at what can be the other options. Then I have put my child in a daycare. I've got nannies to take care of my child. I went and spoke to the organization. See, look, I want work from home for a few days in a week. I will give my best. That's my commitment. So I think that's again because I was with the organization for some 5-6 years and they've seen me working and they had that trust. And again, that rapport thing, right? So I think all of these work together. I remember talking to the CEO of the company and I told him that I give you 100% assurance that there will be zero slippage from my side. And I was so confident. I think he really liked that. And he said, okay, Sriparna. I think I was the only person who got this work from home option those days, right? Even after my childbirth, apart from my maternity, I was on leave for 6 months. After that, when I rejoined work, I think I was hardly going to office once or twice a week. Rest of the days, I was working from home. So I would say people that we women are, extremely giving, which is great. But I think at the same time, also take care of yourself. We are so much giving that we are also ready to give away our identity. We are also give away our careers, right? Child is not just mother's responsibility. Child is also the father's responsibility. Go and have that talk with your partner. I'm sure, especially in the current times, we are in better days. Better times today. Go and have that conversation with your partner. Go and talk to your people. Build a mechanism. There are a lot of services available. Go and avail them. I'm not saying that what I did is the right thing to do. I did it because I felt that's the right thing. And I have never regretted that because my child is now 5.5. Everything went well, God willing. So it's all about how you plan things, the placement. For example, I spoke about the daycare. So the days I used to go to office, there was a daycare in the ground floor. So like I said, when you want to make things work out, right? I found a daycare right in the ground floor. I used to keep my child there, go to office, work, come back, pick up my child from the daycare and come back. So that's the mechanism I built. And then there was a time when that was not working out. I got a nanny in house. I put some CCTV cameras. I used to go to work for some 3 hours, come back. And it was not just that I was doing, even my husband was doing that. So I think it's all about planning things and be sure of what you're doing. And then nobody can stop you. And I would rather say to all the women that, it's okay. It's okay to be selfish sometimes. It's okay to think about yourself sometimes. Don't think so much. Don't feel guilty about things. I think we women, we think a lot.
Yeah, from childhood, I think somewhere in our mind, it is there that we are responsible for this, plus this, plus this.
Exactly.
So, yeah, maybe that is what plays on and continues in our mind.
What worked for me is that I've enjoyed all the roles. I enjoy being with my child. I enjoy cooking. I enjoy taking care of the kitchen. I enjoy fighting with my husband. I enjoy my work. So I think it's very important. If you do all of these with that happiness in your mind and with that satisfaction in your mind, I think the battle becomes so much easier.
Agreed. It's interesting what you just now said about taking a decision of the childcare plan that you worked out, right? There are many who want to take a break. And I think for everybody, whatever choices they take, if they are happy about those choices, well and good. If they are not happy about those choices that they are taking, probably this is something what you said is something they can think about, right? Your happiness is important. If you are happy is only when you can make others happy.
Absolutely.
Right? So now we spoke about challenges, we spoke about your learnings, we spoke about a little bit about your personal life and your beliefs. And now if I talk about your interest areas apart from work, what are those? Cooking is something that I've been hearing. So cooking is definitely one of your interest areas. You also mentioned painting, and you said that you kind of take time out for doing these activities. Are there anything else that you like to do?
Yeah, so even I would also call myself a cleanliness freak. Any piece of dust anywhere sitting, I just can't stand that. I have to make sure all of that is clean. So like I said, I'm being organized. I just don't implement it at home, at office, but also at home. And my husband is very irritated with that why you are like this. So I think I make sure my house is nice and neat and clean. Everything is in place. So I keep arranging things, putting things in place. What I also like is, I try to put anything which I'm going to throw. I just see, can I put it to good use. I'm also quite touched by a few, articles that are coming about how we can recycle things, right? So I also look at how can I recycle things, be it a plastic bottle or, the cardboard box. We get so many, especially with Amazon and Flipkart everywhere. They're simply dirting the whole environment, right? It's all, you will find it in all the places everywhere if you go out, right? How do I make good use of that? I also see, be it clothes, how do I recycle them? Can I make a nice bag out of it? Or can I put it to some other good use? Or if that is not happening, can I donate that? That is something which I have seen in the recent last 4-5 years. I see this side of me where I'm also thinking from that angle, that how do we recycle products, reuse things, even books for that matter. I know there are many kids don't have the means to get good books. So I usually go and donate it to them, because at least they will have something to look at things, right? Learn from that. At least maybe I will not be able to give them the education, but at least some means to start with the journey. So I think these are the small things that I have started doing, and I feel that I get a lot of satisfaction when I do that.
Great. So, Sriparna, we have spoken about a number of things today. And one thing that I feel is very important in our career is all of us come across very good mentors, right? So, could you speak about something that has inspired you, rather some specific learnings that you have taken from your mentors?
Sure. So, Mahua, I will give the answer slightly in a different way. Mm-hmm. So, this mentors and this whole concept of mentorship, I'm sure you will agree with me, has come into picture in the last 3 years. If you go to LinkedIn, everybody is a mentor, right? In their profiles, they will mention, I'm a mentor. So, I will look at things in a slightly different way. I look around. I haven't really considered one person as a mentor in my life. Mm-hmm. I have learned from people. I have learned from my parents, my mom, my dad, my sister. There's so much to learn everywhere. It's all about you pick what you want to learn. I have been blessed with some great managers. I try to, pick up things from their leadership styles and also implement in the way I handle my team, I handle my people. So I would say my family members, my leaders, rather team leads, or my managers, my reporting managers. In fact, I would say that I have also come across a couple of difficult managers, not that sweet and nice, but I have learned from them also. Human beings are shades of different colors. It's not like how it's usually shown in the movies that one person is bad at everything. He's a bad human being, in all the angles. That's not how it works, right? I think everyone has shades of every color, just that you need to see which shade you want to pick. I had one difficult manager and I really didn't like her, even today. But what I really felt was the way she used to get work done, even from the laziest of the writers. That was a great skill. And that is something which I've learned from her. So to answer your question about mentorship, there was not a single mentor that I can think of or talk about, but I have learned from people around. I've learned from family members, friends. There is one particular individual. So this person in my team, he was not doing great at work. And in fact, there was a time when we had to let him go. I used to feel he is a great speaker. And today he has become very successful as a speaker. He's at least 10 years junior to me in terms of experience and everything. So I go and listen to his conversations, the way he puts himself in front of a large audience, the way he talks, the confidence. So I think we all have to see and absorb. We should be like Ponch.
Yes.
Absorb the good things.
Yeah, and one very good thing you mentioned, Sriparna, here, that good or bad, there are things you learn, right? To do and not to do. What do you want to pick up? What do you want to continue doing? What you do not want to continue doing is your choice.
Absolutely.
So now coming back to you being a team leader, any specific experiences that you want to highlight?
So when you are leading a team, you're handling people, and it is very difficult. Because people come from different age groups, different experiences, a lot of baggages that they carry if they have experiences from the previous organization. And you have to make sure that you are giving out the best to them in terms of the quality of work, in terms of the mentoring, and in terms of the job role or the responsibilities you are giving out. And of course, you have to also handle their emotions. They will have their personal life. They will have many unplanned leaves, and this is happening, that is happening. Just imagine 10 of them, 12 of them coming and talking about all of that. Plus, you will have your own things to take care of. You will have your OKRs. You will have your goals. There will be expectations from the senior management. So striking that right balance and making sure you are just to everyone is very important and a very, very difficult task. There will be people who will misunderstand you. People will misinterpret you. They will not understand why you are saying something, why you are doing something. People will just come and label you, okay, you're partial to these people, And I'm sure any leader must have come across these kind of things, these kind of challenges, which is also not easy. And again, I would say there's no particular mantra because it's like part of your job. If you are a leader, you will come across all of this. But I would still say a better way to handle scenarios like this is to have regular connects with all your team members. So, for example, today I have 12 tech writers with me, and 4 of them don't report to me directly. So I have 2 leads, they report to them. What we usually do, we connect with all our reportees every month, once in a month. Apart from our meetings and everything else, that's our we time rather. I also make sure that I also connect to people who are not directly reporting to me. And the way I have put my image is that I'm extremely approachable. You can DM me, you can message me, you can call me. So establishing that connection with people is so important, and that makes things so much easier. I have handled like the laziest of tech writers. I handle people who are extremely ambitious, doing this much, expecting so much. So you will have all that people, and there will be some person who is always sick. 3 days in a week is going for sick leaves. There will be people who will have their personal issues. Maybe their parent is not doing well or something or other at home, right? So you have to handle all of these people. But how do you make sure that at the end of the day, saying all the good and nice things is great, but you have to get the work done also. So how do you make sure that you do that? And that's what, I have learned. I was talking about one of my difficult managers, that how to deal with the laziest persons. I think I have learned that trick from her. But I have also realized that with these connections that I talk to my team members every month, I know them very well. So I know what will work for one person. The same thing will not work for the other person, right? Because people have different levels of ambition. For someone, money matters or a lot. For someone, work matters a lot. For someone, designation matters a lot, right? So, and how will you know what matters for what? These are the connections that you talk to people, have a very friendly environment, create a very soft, gentle environment for your team members. Work will become so much fun and things will become so much easier to get executed, is what I can say.
Okay. You mentioned that you are dealing with different generations of people. So what is the difference in terms of how do you deal with them?
I think we are wired that we can change our colors based on the environment. Because we deal with so many relations, right? The moment we get married, sorry, I'm slightly deviating. The moment we get married, we are somebody's, sister-in-law. We are somebody's daughter-in-law. We can show them, yes, I am the one. I am the best. I mean, you couldn't have got a better daughter-in-law than me, a better sister-in-law than me, We are so much good at this because the way we can adopt. Why I'm saying this? Because the way we can adopt. When I'm talking to my mother-in-law, I will talk. I know what are the topics she wants to talk. And I will talk that and I can engage in a great conversation with her. When I'm talking to my devar, my brother-in-law, who is probably, let's say, 24, 25, I know what kind of topics he will be interested in and I will start talking in that. When I'm talking to my child, I know what he's talking about, Spider-Man, Superman. I sit and watch all of that because even I have to know now. If I have to engage in a conversation, I need to know what is the latest thing in the Spider-Man series, right? So I would say to bridge this generation gap, and it's wide, and it is difficult. It is difficult, especially when I talk to people. They say, "Yeah, man." I'm like, who talks like that to your reporting manager? But yes, that's a culture. And I also say, yeah, man. So I would say that make sure whenever you're again establishing connection, there will be some commonality. So there was one girl who had just joined and she was just 21, 22. I was having a conversation. I was like, iske saath what commonalities I should bring in? Then I realized that she likes Shah Rukh Khan. I said, okay, Shah Rukh Khan the common topic hai. Let's talk on Shah Rukh Khan. So we start our conversations, our one-on-one with Shah Rukh Khan. And then we have conversations around work, this and that. So I would say that find out what is common. There must be something common in between. See what the new generation is up to, what the person is up to. Again, once you start having those one-on-ones with your team members, you will understand the person very well. So there's one individual in my team who has some issues at home. So I start the conversations with that thing. And that starts up with a very smooth thing because he is also very comfortable talking about things and, aisa ho raha hai, vaisa ho raha hai, these things are working out, not working out. Then we smoothly get into work. We talk about what is happening at work. So to answer your question, I think the best way is establish a connection and understand what is common between you and that particular individual. Start the conversation with that and then you can get into any conversation. Even that person will become very comfortable because also understand what kind of things they have in their mind. They're just coming out of college. They're talking to a reporting manager who is 20 years senior to them, right? So they will be like, well, should I even talk to her? Should I say hi, hello, or good morning? Or yeah, man, right? So you have to make that person comfortable. So he says, yeah, man, I will also revert with yeah, man only, and we are all cool about it. So yeah, I think that can be a way out of this.
So now we are kind of coming to end of part 1 of this podcast and this particular episode, in fact. So here, the last question from you. Are there any books or resources that are your go-to resources?
Google. And these days, ChatGPT. There's so much of information available. I mean, who else can provide you everything in one place? You decide where you want to go. I think for everything I Google. And you have YouTube, you have videos, resources, you have so much. You have to just make sure you give the right prompt and get the right answers. I mean, you will get a bunch of answers. See what is that you look for. Talking about slightly seriously, I'll try to answer your question. That specifically, if I'm looking at language related things, I would look at dictionaries. There are many websites, MSTP. If I'm looking for some guidelines, if I'm slightly confused, I look at competitors. I look at the market, the best in the market, how they do certain things, how do they structure a sentence or how do they structure certain things. Research works here where, you can look at, some random answers, even further for that matter. You will probably not get exactly what you want, but at least you will have some idea. So I would rather say Google things, YouTube things, ChatGPT is there. There are other AI models, go and explore them and you have a lot of information. It's a matter of finding them out is what I can say. And dictionary is your all-time friend if you're writing. You should never leave that. Make sure you're always referring to that. Anytime I'm confused with the meaning, right? For example, we use certain words. Let's say a word, a slightly difficult word. I'm trying to understand is the usage correct, right? Look at examples. Again, dictionary is what will help you here.
And any personal favorites in terms of books?
So I usually love to read a lot of detective and thrillers. I watch a lot of thrillers, many series I've watched in the last couple of years. And I kind of, so usually I and husband, we watch these series and I will try to say, who is the killer? I know who is the killer. And most of the time I'm right. Because I watched so many. Now I have understood the pattern.
So who done it is your preference?
Yes. So I remember in my childhood also, I used to read a lot of thriller books and I was so excited to know who has done it. I will read the first few pages, then I will go to the last pages to finally see who is the killer. Oh, now I know the killer. Now I will, in peace, I will read the whole book.
Okay. So know who has done it, now how he has done it.
Yes.
Okay. So, Sriparna, thank you so much. With this, we close the part 1 of this episode. And for our viewers, the next episode will be about digging deep into the field of technical writing. and we'll look into what kind of skills are required. And when I say skills, it's not just technical skills. We'll also speak about the softer side of the skills required to succeed in this very field. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mahua. Thank you.
As we wrap up today's episode, I sincerely hope that you have found this conversation both valuable and enlightening. Your feedback and comments are greatly appreciated, so please feel free to share your thoughts, your feedbacks, and comments. If you have enjoyed this discussion, don't forget to hit the like button and do share it with friends, colleagues, or anyone you believe could benefit from our conversation. Moreover, consider subscribing to our channel to receive notifications of upcoming discussions as soon as they are released. Your subscription ensures that you won't miss out on our future content. Thank you once again for tuning in. Wishing you a wonderful day ahead.